There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello, BookTube. I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another totally blind, page 112 collaboration video. That's a mouthful. I haven't done one of these for about a year. So, let me explain. The page 112 tag is a tag that I guess I invented, created, and brought to BookTube a couple of years ago, based on a French literary prize where the, I can't remember if it's the long list or the short list, but the list of nominees for this French literary prize are chosen by the judges based on their evaluation of page 112 only of each book. No title information, no author information, only one page. Page 112, which is random. And from that, I think the short list is generated, or I've forgotten the details, but it's kind of a quirky idea, and I use this as a strategy for choosing books. I don't go to libraries, but when I go to a bookstore, I usually pick out a pile of books, and then I weed it down to a more affordable, shorter pile by reading page 112 of each book and choosing the ones that strike me as having the most vivid writing, the shiniest writing, the writing that appeals to me, and that there's some hint of a story. Obviously, one page, quite a ways into a book, isn't going to give me an idea of what the story is about. But the thinking behind it is that authors and editors fuss over the first page, the first chapter, the first chunk of the book, and then everybody slacks off. And so if you want to find out how good a book is, you should go to page 112 or any page in the middle of the book. And if you like the writing there, then you have a better sense of whether the book is any good. So I have been using it. I've done several versions of this tag. I don't do it nearly as often as I used to, but I still enjoy doing it on occasion. And I am doing the blind collaboration version with Scott and Nelle, an Australian couple. Their channel name is Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot, which is the best channel name ever, and I love their channel so much. I discovered them because they created the DNF tag, and I deigned to do it. And now we're doing this collaboration. So what I mean by a totally blind page 112 tag collaboration is Scott and Nelle have chosen 3 page 112s from books they have on the shelf or whatever that they have checked on Goodreads to make sure that I have not read before. And they've sent me those pages with all references to titles and authors removed, and I have done the same for them. So this video is me reading the 3 page 112s to you, and I don't know who wrote it, I don't know the title, don't know anything about it other than what I've read to you, and I am going to rank them. My favorite, second favorite, and least favorite. And then at the end, I'm going to, for the first time, open the 4th email that Scott and Nelle sent me, which has the title and author information, and I will tell you at the end. So I will be as blind as you, and Scott and Nelle will be doing a similar video on their end with what I sent to them. I think I've over-explained that, so let's move on to book number 1. There are French surnames here that I don't know how to pronounce, and I have not gone to the trouble of looking up the pronunciations, so forgive me for massacring those names. Page 112 begins with a sentence fragment, which I will not include, and similarly ends with a sentence fragment, which I will not include. It's odd. Botelou claimed the soup was ready. Like hell it was, said La Mahoude. I saw the vegetables on the table. She hadn't even peeled them. The shouts and cries got louder. Something lurched violently against the wall, making it shake. Then a long silence fell. Then the miner, swallowing his last spoonful, concluded with an air of impartial justice. It's fair enough if the soup wasn't ready. And when he had drunk a full glass of water, he started on the brawn. He cut it into square pieces, spearing them on his knife and eating them on his bread without a fork. Nobody spoke while father was eating. He himself fell silent while he was busy satisfying his hunger. Although he didn't recognize Maigrat's usual cold meat and thought it must have come from somewhere else, he didn't ask his wife any questions. He just asked whether the old man was still asleep up there. No, Grandfather had already gone out for his usual walk, and silence reigned again. But the smell of meat had alerted Lenore and Henri, who looked up from their game of making rivers with the spilled bathwater. They both came and stood beside their father, the little boy in front. Their eyes followed the fate of every morsel, watching hopefully as it left the dish, and observing tragically its demise in their father's mouth. After a while he noticed that they were pale with greed and were licking their lips. "Have they had some?" he asked. And when he saw his wife hesitate, he said, "You know I don't like to be unfair. It spoils my appetite to see them hanging around me begging." "Yes, they damn well have," she shouted angrily. "Of course, if you listened to them, you'd give them your share and everyone else's, and they'd stuff their faces till they burst." "It's true, isn't it, Alzire? We've all had some brawn." "Of course we have, Mum," replied the little hunchback, who on great occasions like this could lie with all the sang-froid of a grown-up. Oh my God, well, that is in medias res for sure, in the middle of the action, and I loved it. I assume this is a translated novel from the French, but I don't know for sure. But it's obviously a story happening in some French-speaking country. I don't know which surnames that are introduced at the beginning of the story go with father, and here I think father means papa, not priest, father. No, obviously it's a husband and wife. And the children are hungry, Lenore and Henri. Yeah, really vivid. I want to know a lot more about this story, but I just feel like I was right there at that dining room table. It seems like it's not a rich man's house. Obviously, it kind of reminds me of Oliver Twist asking for some more, the way they're watching their father eat. And the mother is lying, and there's a little hunchback named Alzire. I am deeply intrigued by this passage. I really, really liked it. So let's go on to book number 2. This one ends very neatly, a full sentence at the top of page 112, and the sentence at the bottom of the page also ends with a period. The kids come out, hair toweled askew, and set upon the crabs. Bullet is 9 and rangy as a roo dog. Even in sleep he twitches and whimpers as though dreaming on the run. Cracking crab claws with his teeth, he inhales more food than he chews. Bird is a methodical eater. She strips the shells of meat and piles it on her plate. At night she sleeps in total immobility, like a diver enraptured. Most nights she wets the bed as though unable to swim up through the weight of sleep. Fox knows the sound of her footfalls on the boards in the dark. It's him she comes to for the sponge bath and the change of linen. 1,000 nights they've stood silent together in the bathroom, her head on his arm, as water runs in the sink. Fox loves the kids as his own. Sometimes it surprises him to remember they're not. Now and then he still catches himself watching Sal. There are nights when the low rumble of her laughter stirs him awake in his bed. They've more or less grown up together, the 3 of them. He doesn't mind. He is his brother's brother. That's how it is. "Come get some crabs," he says to Darky and Sal. "You'll be late for the gig." "Crabs don't wait," says Bullet. "Well, these ones aren't going anywhere," says Bird. "Not anymore. Except down me neck." "They playing tonight?" asks Bird, as though her parents aren't there. "White Point," says Fox. "We go?" "You got school tomorrow." Darky and Sal leave off playing, wipe their strings, and lay the instruments in their tatty cases. They come to the table, shining with sweat. All right, well, this one was really good, too. I don't quite know what to make of it, but I love the writing. Most nights she wets the bed as though unable to swim up through the weight of sleep. That sentence really struck me. The dynamic. So Fox seems to be the uncle of the young children. Bullet, who is a boy. He twitches and whimpers as though dreaming on the run in sleep. And Bird is the girl. And I'm a little uncomfortable with Uncle Fox giving his niece Bird a sponge bath, but maybe it's okay. Bullet is 9. I don't know how old she is. But the children's parents seem to be Darky and Sal. I don't know which one is the man and which one's the woman. Darky sounds like a very racialized, if not racist, term. This sounds like a Australian novel, and I know that Nell and Scott are Australian, but the roo reference, a roo dog, a kangaroo dog, maybe I'm reading too much into that. It kind of reminds me of Tim Winton's writing, actually, but I don't know. I know I haven't read this book. So Darky and Sal are musicians, or at least amateur musicians. Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I'm uncomfortable in a way that makes me want to know more about the story, about the sponge bath that Uncle Fox is giving to his young niece, Bird. Sal is a woman. Now and then he still catches himself watching Sal. There are nights when the low rumble of her laughter stirs him awake in his bed. So that's his sister-in-law, and Darky is his brother. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I can't get the genealogy from this page, but I am drawn to this book very much. All right, let's move on to book number 3. Book number 3, page 112, happens to be the first page of chapter 17. A wind whistled through the valley and blew on through the town. Ah sat in the rain by the petrol station, listening to the Texaco billboard knock above the pumps, on the count of 3, each time the wind hit it. The first always the loudest, the last you could barely hear. Knock, 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 knock. The string of red and white canvas flags tied onto the corner post of Noah's barber shop would flutter and flap with each new gust. Just as the last knock of the billboard sounded, the little canvas flags, hanging limply, would perk up as the same bluster of wind hit the barber shop, and all red and white they would gaily flutter and flap, until the gust passed onward down Main, and then they hung silent again, awaiting the billboard's next signal. If the wind did not whistle then, nor would the billboard knock. And if the billboard did not knock up there above the pumps, then the canvas flags would hang, limply strung, never to flap, never to flag, and never to flutter. And if the wind did not come waltzing through the valley on this wet and windy summer night of 1943, then the township of Ukalor Valley would in windless silence be. Bar the fremitus of the rain, of course, its incessant racket like the endless clamor of the blood, long since gone, unnoticed by the ear. And if the wind did not waltz, then not a flap, knock, or whistle, not a single pump or rustle, would break the solemn silence of those wind-worried things. Did Ah tell you how we did not hear the rain any more? Not a soul could Ah see in town, for not a one could be found, not a solitary one, nor a strolling pair. Oh my God, I love that so much! Oh my God! What the hell is this? So, what gorgeous writing. I can't place it geographically. There's a Texaco billboard, which could be anywhere, but that's American, right? The gust passed onward down Main. It's not spelled like Main Street. It's spelled like the American state. But maybe it's set in America. Set in 1943. But that description, I'm not big on description of setting. But when it's this fabulous, it sucks me right in. Now, why is Ah, the character's name is Ah. In the second sentence, Ah sat in the rain. Oh, but that's the first word of the sentence. I'm assuming that's a character's name, A-H, capital A, but then the two references at the bottom of the page, it's not capitalized. So I don't know what's going on with, is that a character or not? But I don't mind being confused. The purpose of the page 112 test or tag is not to understand everything about what you read, but to see how much it sucks you in and how you get along with the writing and whether it intrigues you or turns you off. This turns me on so much. What the hell is a fremitus? Let's have a mini, in other words, right in the middle of this page 112, blind collaboration. It seems to be a lung test. Assessment of the lungs by either the vibration intensity felt on the chest wall, that's tactile fremitus, or heard by a stethoscope on the chest wall with certain spoken words, the vocal fremitus. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing the word right, but let's go back to that sentence, because that was a paragraph-long sentence that intrigues the you-know-what out of me. And if the wind did not come waltzing through the valley on this wet and windy summer night of 1943, then the township of Ukalor Valley would in windless silence be. Bar the fremitus of the rain, of course, its incessant racket, like the endless clamor of the blood, long since gone unnoticed by the ear. I mean, this is so orally rich. It's just a gorgeous piece of writing that's all about the sounds that you hear in this valley by this petrol station. Oh my God! Okay, so it's time for me to rank them. Well, this one's tough. I want to read all of these books. They were all deeply fascinating. I'm actually feeling bad for Scott and Nell because I sent them page 112s that maybe weren't nearly as good as what they sent me. I hope they were. Or, you know, it's still fun to do it, whether you like what you read or not. But these all are such Sean page 112s. I can't begin to tell you. So, my first pick is book number 3. It just transported me, that page. That was an exquisite page of fabulously vivid prose describing a setting. And I don't usually care about setting, but that just was a tour de force. So that's my first pick. I guess my second pick would be book number 1, because that was also really vivid and I got a taste of the characters and I really thought that the writing was great and the characters, such as I was able to experience them on one page only, were really vivid. And I'm also really excited about my third pick, but one has to be last, which was book number 2, which I was also really intrigued by the dynamics between the characters, this family dinner, eating crab, inhaling food, and the musical parents, and the weird thing going on with Uncle Fox and his niece that he likes to sponge bath. I'm intrigued and disturbed about that. So that would be my third pick, but I was really engrossed in that as well. So those are my rankings, and now it's time to open the 4th email that Scott and Nell sent me and find out what I read. So to make it a little bit less confusing, I will reveal the title and authors first of the rankings in which I ranked them. So my first choice was book number 3. Oh my God, I've never heard of the title or the author. Book number 3 is And the Ass Saw an Angel. Sounds like a gay fantasy novel. Well, I guess I'd put some of the words in a different order. But anyway, And the Ass Saw an Angel by Nick Cave. Okay, don't know anything. I'm going to look him up. And book number 1, which was my second choice, was Germinal by Émile Zola. So that was pretty easy to guess that it was a French book in translation. I have not read it or anything by Zola. And I was right in kind of guessing. I didn't come right out and say that it was a Tim Winton novel, but it reminded me of Tim Winton's writing. Dirt Music by Tim Winton, which I have not read. Fabulous. Okay, so they wrote an email and they predict, or Nell predicts, that while I'm filming this, she guesses that I'm drinking something red, whereas Scott guesses that I'm drinking something mixed. Well, I don't drink anything red, or I drink white wine only, and I am drinking white wine. And so Nick Cave is my first pick, and they said he's the lead singer of the Australian punk rock act, the Bad Seeds. He is a heroin, the drug. He is a heroin chic, intellectually dirty poet, not to be confused with the American Nick Cave, who knitted the statues. I don't know who the American Nick Cave is, and I don't know anything about knitted statues, but I'm going to be going to Google here in a minute. The novel is about a disturbed, mute foundling child. Well, I'm in. I am totally in for that one. They said they knew that I was familiar with Tim Winton, and they couldn't resist this page 112 from Dirt Music because it was as Aussie as could be, which I agree with. And they tell me that Tim Winton released a soundtrack to accompany the book. Zola Germinal, it's about workers in a mining town. So that was fabulous. I will probably read all of these books in the orders in which I ranked them. They all really struck me. Scott and Nell, thank you for doing this collab with me. You chose the Shawniest of Shawn books. And any of you out there, please try the basic page 112 tag. Just pull books off your shelf, off your Kindle, off Scribd, wherever you find them. And you can do the basic page 112 tag where you just read them onto the video and then rank them and then reveal the titles and authors at the end. You don't even have to do that. You can reveal the titles and authors at the beginning because that's how we can use it at the bookstore. We know the title and author and then we do the page 112 test, so there's no problem. I think it's more entertaining to hold that information back to the end of the video or to do an exchange of these blind page 112s with another booktuber. It's fun! Thanks for watching.